Jack Pardee, the head coach of the Chicago Bears, was a political science major in college. Before the Bears met the favored Redskins, he explained, "Washington always plays steady, conservative, Republican football, and I think we can beat them." Pardee was right. The Bears' defense dominated the game and left Washington's offense as shredded as a Nixon memo. It was the third win in 4 games for the Bears, and their surprising resurgence can be attributed to several factors. First, there's defense. Led by Wally Chambers and number 68 Jim Osborne, the Bears lead pro football in quarterback sacks. Last year, the Bears yielded an embarrassing 27 points per game. This season, with Osborne leading the charge, they've allowed only 8 points per game, the lowest total in the league. The Bears' offense, a sometime thing a year ago, now boasts the most prolific ground gainer in the NFL, league-leading Walter Payton, number 34. Payton's exploits have obscured the spirited beginnings of a newfound Chicago passing game. Young players like Brian Boschnagel, number 47, and quarterback Bob Avellini have brought high hopes to the Windy City. But the Cinderella Bears are dancing toward midnight. Jack Pardee's next 4 opponents are the Vikings, Rams, Cowboys, and Raiders. Chuck Fairbanks, the head coach of the NFL's other Cinderella team, the New England Patriots, has already confronted the toughest part of his schedule. Last Sunday, quarterback Steve Grogan led the Patriots to their 3rd consecutive upset victory. This one, a 48-17 shellacking of the previously unbeaten Oakland Raiders. Grogan did everything for New England except solve the school crisis. He ran for 2 touchdowns and passed for 3 more. But Grogan isn't alone in creating the surprises that have vaulted the Patriots into a first-place tie in the AFC East. There's tight end Russ Francis, number 81, whose emergence as a primary passing target has diversified New England's offense. Sam Cunningham, number 39, has been injured the last 2 years. But this season, he signed a 3-year, $600,000 contract, and the Patriots are making him earn it, using him frequently as a pass receiver as well as a ball carrier. In case Cunningham gets hurt again, the Patriots can call on Jess Phillips, number 35, a proven plunger with 9 years of experience. In the New England secondary, where 2 rookies are starters, the steady play of veteran Prentice McRae, number 34, has helped camouflage a potential weakness. If the Patriots do have any weak spots, they weren't apparent against the Raiders. And with the roughest part of their schedule behind them, the Patriots might be strong enough to earn a spot in the playoffs. A mere shadow of what they once were, the Kansas City Chiefs have yet to win a football game this season. And though Mike Livingston's offense has tallied a respectable 9 touchdowns, the young Chief defense has completely nullified the offense's efforts, surrendering more yardage than any team in football. Through 4 games, the Chiefs have allowed an incredible 131 points. Last Sunday in Buffalo's Rich Stadium, Bill quarterback Joe Ferguson and wide receiver Bob Chandler 3 times emptied sustained drives into Kansas City's end zone as Buffalo's versatile offensive machine approached its 1975 form. O.J. Simpson and newly installed fullback Jeff Kinney each contributed 100-plus yards to Buffalo's offensive effort. But despite their offensive firepower, the Bills' inexperienced secondary continues to plague Buffalo's team effort as Kansas City quarterback struck for 321 yards. Lackadaisical play in Buffalo's secondary often turns apparent mismatches into close football games. But despite a poor overall effort, the Bills' defense forced 6 turnovers, including this one on the game's final offensive play. Tony Green traveled the length of the football field and then some, 101 yards, as Buffalo buried the Chiefs 50-17. A rousing victory for the awakening Bills, and indeed, they had earned a well-deserved rest. But Cardinal fans can't let their team rest, for St. Louis must keep on chugging to keep pace with Dallas in the NFC East. A task made simpler last week by a genuine rarity, a Cardinal defensive touchdown. Mike Sensabaugh's 35-yard interception return set the tone for the entire afternoon as both teams turned in alert, opportunistic, heads-up defensive play. But New York's cunning defense could only outwit the Cardinals for so long. With Jim Otis sidelined, Jim Hart turned to his replacement, number 34, Steve Jones. And the fourth-year fullback responded with 85 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns, enough to keep the Giants winless. On the positive side, the surprising San Diego Chargers arrived in Denver undefeated. But Denver partisans prescribed a cure for San Diego's resurgence, and the much-improved Bronco defense made it stick. The high-flying Chargers brought the AFC's #1 ranked offense to Mile High Stadium. They left without a point. For Denver has discovered the magic of solid defense. Only the Bears have permitted fewer points in the entire NFL. And when a defense can stop an opponent cold, it opens up new avenues of attack. In this case, for a 5-foot, 10-inch, 170-pound will-o'-the-wisp named Rick Upchurch. Precious few NFL players can break a game open on special teams. Rick Upchurch is one of them. Upchurch's 92-yard punt return opened the proverbial floodgates as Denver went on to roll up 26 points while shutting out the Chargers. 12 of those points came on Jim Turner field goals. The rest came on this back-breaking 1-yard plunge by reserve fullback Lonnie Perrin. Denver's convincing win earned the Broncos a first-place tie with Oakland in the AFC West. Denver has never won a divisional title of any kind, but their fans have been patient. And who knows, maybe this time around. In San Francisco, with a 3-1 record, the 49ers seem to be headed in the right direction. And last week they had Joe Namath and the Jets headed even deeper into the bottomless pit of the AFC's Eastern Division cellar. The fumble recovery and score by defensive tackle Cleveland Elam, number 72, capped a 17-6 San Francisco win. But the touchdown was by no means Elam's only contribution of the day. When number 14, Richard Todd, replaced Namath, Elam was all over Todd like a bad case of poison ivy. Elam, a second-year man from Tennessee State, was an inspiration to the 49ers, who are going to need all the inspiration they can get this Monday when they suit up for an NFC Western Division showdown with a tough Los Angeles Rams. But lest Richard Todd feel too bad, in Baltimore, quarterbacks were having their problems too. Even the highly praised Burt Jones was not above an untimely slip-up or two. But it was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who suffered the most embarrassment, as they made numerous errors and at one point allowed the Colts to score on 7 straight possessions. In fact, one of the best plays of the day for the Bucs was made by their fearless phantom tackler, who came cleverly disguised as a field official. But in the end, not even 10 shiploads of Buccaneers could stop the Pony Express, as Jones to number 26, Lydell Mitchell, accounted for 24 yards and a touchdown. And then it was Jones to number 81, Roger Carr, for 48 yards, and a 42-17 victory, which left the 3-1 Colts tied for first with the Patriots in the AFC's Eastern Division. Meanwhile, in Louisiana's Superdome, Houston's Billy Johnson scored a touchdown and threw a challenge the way of dancers Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire. The Oilers were pumping points last Sunday as Ronnie Coleman romped 22 yards for a touchdown. Houston upped its lead to 31-9 when C.L. Whittington, number 38, recovered this fumble and blazed 96 untouched yards for the score. The game's fourth quarter got a little hairy as player disputes and fan misbehavior caused some delays. It got even hairier for the Oilers as the Saints staged a comeback on this Bobby Scott to Tinker Owens 60-yard bomb. But in the end, the rally fell short, and Houston had win number 3, 31-26. In Cleveland, the Cincinnati Bengals showed studied efficiency as they coolly took the Browns apart under the watchful eye of first-year coach Bill Tiger Johnson, who was watching something special. "I have never seen Ken Anderson sharper," said Johnson of his quarterback last week. Indeed, Anderson connected on 4 scoring passes, this one to Lenville Elliott. And when number 30, Willie Shelby, returned this kick 97 yards, it caused Cleveland coach Forrest Gregg to comment, "We're like a leaky dam. I've used all my fingers and have 1 toe left." But even the Army Corps of Engineers couldn't have stopped Kenny Anderson last week. His 2 scores to the ever-open Isaac Curtis made it 31-10. Finally, a 29-yard catch and run by Elliott squared squelched a minor Cleveland rally, and the Bengals kept pace with the Oilers in the AFC Central by winning 45-24. In the Seattle Kingdome, the Dallas Cowboys met an ambush. Seahawk coach Jack Patera was one of the original Cowboys, and quarterback Jim Zorn was cut by the Cowboys just last year. Together, they devised the plan which had Seattle ahead 13-0 in the second quarter. But although the Seahawks were a shocking second in the conference in passing, they were dead last in defense. And accordingly, Roger Staubach was not afraid to fire the Landry shotgun. Staubach, the NFC's leading passer, brought the Cowboys back with more than 400 yards of offense to add to their already league-leading total. This touchdown by Charles Young gave the Cowboys the lead just before halftime. In the second half, Staubach controlled the game. Stumpy running back Robert Newhouse stumped the Seahawks with 120 yards and this clinching touchdown run as the Cowboys became the only undefeated and untied team in the NFL. In Miami, two more pretty fair offensive clubs went at it. The power drive of Norm Boulash had the Dolphins in front 14-0 at the half. But then Ram quarterback James Harris put on the performance of his life, as did wide receiver Ron Jesse, number 81. Harris and Jesse combined 7 times for 220 yards and 2 touchdown bombs. In all, Harris completed 17 of 29 for 436 yards. Trailing 28-21 midway in the fourth quarter, Bob Greasy cranked up this beauty to Nat Moore to tie the score. Three plays later, James Harris faced third down and the game's most important pass. Harold Jackson's clutch reception took the ball within easy field goal range, and Tom Dempsey, who had missed 3 earlier attempts, booted home the winning points for the first-place powerhouse called the Los Angeles Rams. There were big plays in Green Bay, too, where the opening kickoff set the tone for Rick Forzano's last day as coach of the troubled Detroit Lions. James Hunter yanked Steve Odom down just short of the end zone, but the Packers took it in from there to lead 7-0 after the first 47 seconds of play. But in the second quarter, Greg Landry and the Lions offense scored only their 3rd and 4th touchdowns of the season, and it appeared that Bart Starr's Packers were the ones who needed help. Dexter Bussey scored before losing the ball, but this was just about the last break the Lions got, as 8 times the Packer rush got to Landry, and number 74, Dave Roller, was pretty pleased with it all. Before last week, Green Bay was last in offense in the conference, and last Sunday, against the NFC's number 1 ranked defense, Lynn Dickey could complete only 3 passes for 11 yards. But one of the 3 was the touchdown pass which put Green Bay ahead in the fourth period, 17-14. More important than the passing game to Bart Starr's Packers was the running of Willard Harrell, number 40, and the blocking of Barty Smith, number 33, who replaced John Brockington at fullback. 5'8" Willard Harrell, the second-year runner from the University of the Pacific, gained 111 yards rushing, and also threw the pass which clinched the Packers' first win and Rick Forzano's last loss, 24-14.